Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Mike. Te doy la bienvenida a una clase más en vivo de nuestro canal. Te recuerdo, si no lo has hecho, es muy importante que te suscribas al canal. No cuesta nada, solamente tienes que darle clic a suscribirme y con eso vas a poder participar en el chat que vamos a tener habilitado solo para suscriptores en esta clase en vivo y durante todas las clases en vivo que hacemos. Es importante porque de esa manera, si tienes dudas con respecto al tema del cual estamos hablando, puedes hacer las preguntas allí en el chat en vivo y en vivo vas a tener la respuesta. No cuesta nada, tan simple como darle clic a suscribirse. También recuerda darle clic a la campanita para estar al día con los contenidos que estamos publicando constantemente. Y también aprovecha para compartir el video y darle like. Esto es una manera de mostrar el aprecio por el trabajo que hacemos para traer estos contenidos a ustedes. Es muy importante para nosotros que le den like al video. Con esto nos ayudan a posicionarnos y a seguir creciendo como canal. Así que sigamos pendientes, ya pronto comenzamos. Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Mike. Te doy la bienvenida a una clase más en vivo de nuestro canal. Te recuerdo, si no lo has hecho, es muy importante que te suscribas al canal. No cuesta nada, solamente tienes que darle clic a suscribirme y con eso vas a poder participar en el chat que vamos a tener habilitado solo para suscriptores en esta clase en vivo y durante todas las clases en vivo que hacemos. Es importante porque de esa manera, si tienes dudas con respecto al tema del cual estamos hablando, puedes hacer las preguntas allí en el chat en vivo y en vivo vas a tener la respuesta. No cuesta nada, tan simple como darle clic a suscribirse. También recuerda darle clic a la campanita para estar al día con los contenidos que estamos publicando constantemente. Y también aprovecha para compartir el video y darle like. Esto es una manera de mostrar el aprecio por el trabajo que hacemos para traer estos contenidos a ustedes. Es muy importante para nosotros que le den like al video. Con esto nos ayudan a posicionarnos y a seguir creciendo como canal. Así que sigamos pendientes, ya pronto comenzamos. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2024. It's 6:30 p.m. in Colombia. I'm Mike, and I very welcome to another live class. In this class, we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that we have learned in the video that we posted last week, and also the idea tonight is to answer a couple of questions. Um, Here is raining heavily, so sometimes when that happens, we experience blackouts. So if that happens, I will have to stop the broadcasting because, of course, of the technical issues. Hope let's keep our fingers crossed, and maybe that's not gonna happen. So just in case that happens, it's because of that. First, I would like to thank each and every one of you, the ones who are already here. Thank you. Also, I can see there's some people here, but only 3 of you have liked this video. So please remember, when you like the video, it doesn't cost anything. It's for free. You don't have to pay anything. And that helps a lot to our channel for the algorithm to take our, thank you for that like, our videos and hopefully to reach a lot of people. Thank you for the like. Thanks to each and every one of you, the ones who are live here with us. Angelus, thank you for being here tonight with us. And also because this is going to be part of a playlist. Actually, every live video is available on the channel. Hey, Ivan, thank you. We have Ivan in the house. Thank you for coming. Good evening. So you can watch this video later as many times as you need or as you want. And also special thanks to the people who are part of the membership program. We have a membership program in our channel. I would really like to thank you. Especially, I really appreciate that for your support. If you want, you can be part of that membership program. It's a small token of appreciation to our job, the things that we do here. Okay, so I don't know if you watched the video that I posted this week. The video that I posted this week. I don't know if you watch it. I would like to hear some stuff about that. No? It was a video about the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, the CEFR, something that people ask a lot. I've got a lot of comments, people asking about the CEFR. Do you know what's the CEFR? Did you watch the video? Do you have questions about that? Do you know how it relates or it may relate to your learning process? Oh, there's another thing. Maybe you have noticed tonight I've been speaking in English for the past 7 minutes and a half. I haven't said a word in Spanish. And I'm not sure if you're following me. Hey, Juan Manuel Martinez. Thank you for being here tonight. Good evening. So I'm not sure if you're following and maybe you're understanding everything that I'm what I've said so far. So hopefully you have. If not, this is something that somebody commented the other day. Say, hey, Mike, with all due respect, thank you for the videos and such and such. You should speak more in English. Now, I'm doing this just as a little exercise. Yeah, sure, I can speak a lot in English. But when it comes to explanations about the subjects and the concepts and the stuff that we need to learn, I always go in Spanish. And why is that? Because Spanish is our first language. The idea when I'm teaching the grammar concepts is for you to understand, to fully understand, to compare how it works in between languages, how it works. Let's say if we're learning subjunctive mood, the way it works in Spanish and the way it works in English, and how you can relate, because this is an education part. We're not learning here by acquisition. Of course, we learn also by acquisition, and we can do interesting stuff in order to learn by acquisition, being one of those speaking always in English, not in Spanish. But once again, because the idea here is to have room for education and room for acquisition, I do both. So far, how are you doing with me speaking in English so far? I would like to read some comments, people in the chat room. Another thing, in the meantime, I don't know if you have questions English related. If you have, please do so. Ask your question and I'll try to reply. But in the meantime, I would like you to think about 5 things that you think we should improve for this channel in order to make this channel more appealing to you. 5 things that perhaps you think that could improve this channel, because the last time that I went live, I told you about things that we're doing right now in order to make some changes, in order to get some improvements to our channel. So hopefully with your help, we can get some feedback and such and such. So far, nobody has said anything. I would like to read some comments. Don't know if you have questions. In the meantime, one of the things that people
usually ask is, how long do I take in order to learn English? Well, define learning. Define learning. That's what I always ask, because if by learning you mean repeating words, you can do that in a week. In a week, you can memorize sentences like good morning, good evening, good night, and that's it. But you're not speaking English. You're just repeating words like a parrot. A parrot can do better than you. If for you that's learning English. Why? Because when it comes to learning a second language, we need to learn how to communicate in that language. And it involves interaction in between people. So let's say I learn, hey, Jose Pineda, thank you for being here tonight. So if I learn like a basic interaction, let's say at the restaurant, right? So, and I learn the interaction, I go there and, hi, good evening. Good evening. What would you like to have tonight? Oh, well, my name is this, and I'm gonna be your host tonight, whatever, or your waitress, or your waiter tonight. Would you like me to bring you the menu, whatever? And if that conversation moves away from the script that you have learned, you're gonna be kind of lost. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna tell you a story, something that happened to me. I like Japanese. I practice Japanese. In fact, I don't know if I have told you. Yeah, I think I have told you. Let me say. Oops. I practice shodo. Shodo is a traditional Japanese art related calligraphy, and I study Japanese for this, right? For calligraphy. Whoops. I've been studying this for, I think, ever since 2012. Anyhow, I like Japanese culture, and I've tried to learn a couple times Japanese. Thing is that to find Japanese language exchange partner is hard, so I haven't been able to get one. But I've learned a few things. So I had this experience. I know how to introduce myself. I know how to say hi, how to greet people in Japanese. And I know that, and I can understand a couple words in Japanese. So I met a Japanese guy at a restaurant. He opened a restaurant here in town. So I was so excited because some things, and I went there to meet him. And when we met, then I say, Ohayo gozaimasu. Watashi wa Miguel desu. Hajimemashite. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Because that's the way you introduce yourself in Japanese. And the guy started saying a lot of things that I wasn't expecting. I was like, sorry, I just learned that. That's the only thing that I know. I said, sumimasen. Watashi wa nihongo ga skoshi hanashimasu. Meaning, I just speak a little bit of Japanese. But why is that? Because I learned the script. And a real conversation goes far from a real script, from a basic script. Usually that happens because people speak naturally. So if you think that learning a second language is just memorizing some lines and sentences, yeah, you can do that in a week. But that's of no use. That's not really communicating in a second language. So this European framework of reference for languages. So this thing has been created, if you saw the video, has been created in order to create a standard to be able to to qualify people according to their skills, to their language and communicational skills, right? And they had this A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2 levels, and it works for any language. It can be either Japanese, Chinese, German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, whatever. It works for all of the languages because it tells you, according to your communication skills, where are you, right? Okay. But now, be careful. That is not a test. You can find tests that will let you know, according to the framework of reference, where are you? And then you're going to be able, you do the test, and then you get graded, and then you say, oh yeah, I'm A2 and B2. But once again, if you saw the video, you will know that you can be a C1 according you. Let's say you studied a full course in order to get certified as C1 top level, right? Not C2. Let's say C1. But then again, even if you are a C1, if you go and get into a conversation, you're gonna be like, what the heck? I barely understand this person. That happens. And the opposite can happen. There can be a person who is really fluent in English, and when they go and take the test, they get like a B1. It's like, why? I explained the whole thing on the video, so please watch the video. In a nutshell, this happens because the certification tests, it's going to qualify you according to certain formal and technical standards. Now, you speak Spanish. I bet pretty much all of you, the ones who are on the other side watching this video, are native Spanish speakers. And I can almost guarantee that if you go right now and take a certification test based on the CFR, in order to know what's your level in Spanish, you're not gonna get a C2. I'm pretty much sure about that. Maybe a B1, maybe a B2, but not a C1, not a C2. I'm pretty much that most of you, that's gonna happen. And why is that? Because although you are native and fluent Spanish speakers, you haven't studied the language. So if I ask you right now, what is the past subjunctive? Can you explain that to me? You're gonna be like, if I knew, I would explain that to you. And I would say, well, that's the subjunctive. The thing is that you can use it, but you don't know what it is. And it's funny because that happens. And that happened to me. I always tell this story about when I came back from the States and I wanted to teach, and I went and took the test, and I was expecting at least a C1, and I got I think it was a B1, B2. I was so frustrated. But then when I went to a friend's school, and that she told me, hey, you can teach with me if you want. It's like, what do you want me to teach? She said, this is tonight's class. And when I check, it's like conditional clauses. Or like, what the heck is that? I don't know what's a conditional clause. But I used the conditional clauses because I knew how to speak, but I didn't know what was that, and the subtleties in order to properly and correctly use the conditional clauses. And that's what happens when we learn a language. So in a nutshell, you want to learn English, of course, it's not impossible. We have evolved to learn languages. Our brains are wired to do so. So no issue whatsoever. We just need motivation and a good method. And if we can mix education, and if we can mix education with acquisition, we're gonna be good to go. That's gonna be pretty much it. But we need time. That's not something that is gonna happen all of a sudden. How long did it take to you to start speaking fluently in Spanish? First, being born in the country in which we speak Spanish. Secondly, being surrounded by people who speak Spanish the whole day, 24/7. And being exposed to that on your daily basis as you grow. How long did you take before you started speaking Spanish? At least 4 years, at least. And by speaking, I mean trying to speak kind of coherently. I've told you about my granddaughters. They were born in the United States. They're from a Latin American family. They were born in the United States, and their first language is English. The youngest one, who is right now 4. I met her when she was 3. We met in person when she was 3. I've been able to witness her evolution language-wise through all this year, and it's been amazing. And when I talk to her, she fully understands what I say. Of course, I try to avoid weird words or complicated words or complex words, rather, when we talk. And I try to use a basic vocabulary, but I always try to push the envelope a little bit farther in order to challenge her in her communication process. And I've witnessed her process throughout the year. Oh man, it's so incredible, amazing, and totally fulfilling to see how has she evolved and improved her language skills. But even though she's 4 and she was born there and English is her first language, she cannot speak very fluently right now. That's for years. So once again, if you want to learn, you need to understand that you are not going to be able to be fluent, fully fluent, for at least a few years, and it totally depends on how long do you study, how many hours, flight hours, we would say. And talking about that, I would like to share this little table with you. Give me just a second. This is something that I did for the video that I posted, and on the video I talk about the hours required in order to achieve C2 from scratch. Once again, it's not, you cannot say that's like it's more like a guideline, because it depends on your motivation, it depends on your resources, it depends on the way you study, but roughly we could say that depending on the hours per day, the hours per day, days a week, starting the whole year, which is 52 weeks, how many years would you take in order to go from 0 to C1? And I show this. If you study 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, throughout the whole year, taking no vacations for studying, just resting Saturdays and Sundays, it will take you 8 years from 0 to C1. If you study 2 hours the same way, it will take you 4 years. Saying that the goal is around 2,000 hours that you are required in order to complete the requirements to be certified C2. If you study 3 hours per day, 5 days a week, it's gonna take you 3 years. If you study from 4 to 7 hours, 5 days a week, it's gonna take you around 2 years. And if you study 8 hours, 5 days a week, the whole year, it's gonna take you a year. But this is something that means that you're just gonna live and breathe English pretty much the whole day, right? And to do so, you would have to be able to live for a year without having to worry about working to get paid, to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to buy groceries, to do the things that you usually do because you have to work for, right? So this is very important. So now let's say you say, no, I can only do that on weekends, and I could do that the 4 hours on Saturday and just Saturdays. So how many days a week? 1 day a week. 4 hours a week. That means it would take you 10 years according to that. Now let's say, oh, no, yeah, I can take the whole Saturday. Let's say I take 8 hours on Saturdays, but just Saturdays because I don't have time to study more. It will take you 5 years. this is something interesting that I found with this table, because you can play with the table. I can say, okay, let's say that I'm going to study 3 hours, but I only can study 3 days a week. Whoops, 3 days a week. So it will take me around 5 years. And remember, this is just a guideline in order to have an idea of how long would it take to get there, to get to C1 from C2 from 0, if I studied that much. It requires time. It requires time. So whenever you maybe see online or wherever you want the ads saying, oh, be fluent in 3 months, be careful. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen unless you go to a government issued program. There are places in the United States, but that's only, I've talked about in other videos. That's something that is only available to federal government employees, meaning military and such and such. And it's something like this, in which you go to live there for a year, and you live there and you breathe they have invested millions, and they have millions in resources and trainers and resources and educational resources in order for you to be able to achieve that level of fluency in different languages in 1 year. But you cannot achieve, you cannot afford that, because that's not available to us. So we find a guy who says, hey, they claim, hey, learn English in 3 months. Be fluent in 3 months. Yeah, sure, right. So, okay, so that's pretty much it. That's related to what we posted last week. Remember, changes are coming. But hey, I've been speaking for 28 minutes now, and nobody has told me about the questions that I asked first. If you had 5 things that you would like to improve or change or see in this channel, nobody has told anything about that. So please think about that. Bueno, terminamos por esta noche. Voy a pasar a español porque he hablado en inglés durante 28 minutos. No sé si me han entendido todo lo que he dicho. Espero que sí, y quienes no lo han hecho no se frustren, porque eso no implica que estén perdiendo el tiempo, simplemente que se requiere invertir más tiempo en el proceso. Entonces, los dejo con lo siguiente. Ya saben, pues, que si les gustan mis videos, recuerden darle like, compartir con sus amigos, grupos, redes sociales, y si todavía no lo han hecho, suscríbanse al canal. Denle click a la campanita para estar al día con los contenidos que publicamos constantemente. Y recuerden que esto nos ayuda mucho a crecer como canal. Nosotros, bueno, yo pongo un esfuerzo importante he traído un esfuerzo importante durante los últimos años, trayendo recursos, grabando videos, mejorando los recursos, trayendo más cositas interesantes para que el proceso de aprendizaje sea más efectivo, eficaz, y sobre todo que son recursos gratuitos. A ustedes no les cuesta nada. Si ya están aquí y le dan like a los videos, eso ayuda muchísimo al canal. Y como estamos en proceso de revisión, cambios y cosas, les recuerdo, quienes puedan comentar este video diciéndome 5 cosas que les gustaría mejorar, cambiar, ver, encontrar en este canal que de pronto en este momento no han encontrado, por favor, déjenme esa lista. Estamos haciendo un proceso de revisión. Desde mi perspectiva limitada para pensar, yo creo saber qué puedo poner, qué puedo traer y cómo hacer cosas, pero yo necesito el feedback de ustedes también para poderle traer cosas que a ustedes les interesen. Por ejemplo, alguien me decía, ¿por qué no habla más en inglés? Y yo, vamos a hacer una prueba, vamos a hablar esta noche solo en inglés. Pero estoy seguro que mucha gente queda en el aire, entonces tampoco es eso. Entonces, por favor, los que me puedan colaborar con eso, muchas gracias. Espero escuchar de ustedes. Gracias a las personas que estuvieron esta noche en vivo con nosotros. Gracias a quienes se atrevieron a dar el like, que no cuesta nada y que nos ayudó mucho. Gracias a esas personas que dieron like. Y nos vemos la próxima semana. Sigan estudiando, sigan aprendiendo. Bye, bye.